What if the secret to explosive plant growth, disease-resistant crops, and soil that practically feeds itself has been hiding in your backyard this entire time? While you've been shelling out hundreds on synthetic fertilizers and soil amendments, farmers halfway across the world discovered something that changes everything. They figured out how to turn ordinary kitchen scraps and wild plants into a self-sustaining fertility system so powerful, it's quietly revolutionizing how thousands of gardeners approach their soil. This isn't another gardening fad. This is Korean natural farming, and once you understand how it works, you'll never look at your garden the same way again. Here's what most gardeners get wrong. They treat their soil like an empty container that needs constant refilling with store-bought nutrients. But your soil isn't dead. It's absolutely teeming with microscopic life. Billions of bacteria, fungi, and other organisms specifically adapted to your exact climate and conditions. These native microbes are already there, waiting to be activated. Korean natural farming doesn't ask you to buy expensive microbial inoculants shipped from across the country. Instead, it teaches you how to harvest and multiply the beneficial organisms already thriving right under your feet. When you feed this underground ecosystem, it feeds your plants better than any synthetic fertilizer ever could. The plants don't just grow, they thrive with deeper roots, stronger stems, and natural pest resistance that comes from genuine soil health. The foundation of this entire system starts with something called indigenous microorganisms, and collecting them is surprisingly simple. Find a small wooden box or container with ventilation holes. Line it with plain cooked white rice, nothing fancy, just basic white rice. Now place this box in a shaded spot where leaf litter naturally collects, ideally near trees or an undisturbed area of your property. Leave it untouched for 3 to 5 days depending on your climate. When you return, you'll find a fine white mold covering the rice. That fuzzy layer is pure gold. You've just captured a concentrated culture of beneficial microbes perfectly suited to your land. Take this moldy rice and mix it with an equal weight of brown sugar. If you collected 1 pound of rice culture, add 1 pound of brown sugar. Pack this mixture into a jar with a loose-fitting lid and let it ferment in a cool spot. This becomes your microbial concentrate, and it can last for months. When you're ready to use it, mix 1 tablespoon of this culture into 1 gallon of water and apply it as a soil drench around your plants, or add it to your compost pile. You've just given your soil a massive microbial boost using nothing but rice and sugar. Now let's talk about fermented plant juice, the single most powerful homemade fertilizer you'll ever make. This liquid gold is created from the most vigorous plants already thriving around you, the weeds, wild herbs, and fast-growing plants that need zero human help. These plants are packed with nutrients and growth hormones, and fermentation unlocks all of it in a form your garden can instantly use. Walk around your property and collect a few handfuls of young, healthy plant tips. Look for nettles, wild grasses, vigorous weeds, or any plant growing strong without irrigation or care. Chop these plants into small pieces and weigh them. Add an equal weight of brown sugar and mix thoroughly until the plants begin releasing moisture. Pack this mixture tightly into a wide-mouthed jar, cover it loosely, and place it in a cool, shaded spot for 5 to 7 days. You'll notice liquid rising to the top as fermentation progresses. This liquid is your fermented plant juice, concentrated nutrition pulled directly from the most adapted plants in your ecosystem. Strain out the plant material and store the liquid in a dark glass bottle. To use it, dilute 1 teaspoon into 1 gallon of water. Apply this as a foliar spray early in the morning or late afternoon, or use it as a soil drench. Your plants will respond within days with darker leaves, stronger growth, and increased vigor. The microbes in your soil will multiply rapidly because you're feeding them exactly what they need. Synthetic fertilizers, well, they force-feed plants with isolated nutrients, but honestly, they do nothing for soil biology. In fact, they often harm it. Over time, this creates a dependency. Your soil becomes less capable of supporting plants on its own, so you end up needing more fertilizer each season. Korean natural farming flips this completely. Every application of fermented plant juice and indigenous microorganisms actually improves your soil structure, increases organic matter, and builds a self-sustaining fertility system. You're not just growing this season's crop, you're creating soil that gets better year after year. Healthier soil means better water retention, fewer diseases, and plants that naturally resist pests because they're growing in a balanced ecosystem rather than a chemical-dependent environment. Gardens using these methods report visible changes within the first month. Compost piles that normally take 3 months finish in about 6 weeks. Plants show deeper green coloration, thicker stems, and, increased yields. Poor soil transforms as organic matter breaks down faster and soil structure improves. Even experienced gardeners who thought they'd mastered organic growing see dramatic improvements once they start working with native microbes instead of against them. This works whether you're growing herbs in containers or managing full vegetable beds. The principles remain constant because you're working with biology, not chemistry. Don't overcomplicate this. Start by setting up one rice box in a shaded area this week. See what grows. While that's working, make your first batch of fermented plant juice from whatever vigorous plants are available. These 2 preparations alone can transform your garden. Korean natural farming includes other powerful inputs like fish-based amino acids and water-soluble calcium from eggshells, but master these basics first. Once you see how responsive your plants become and how alive your soil feels, you'll naturally want to explore deeper. The beauty of this system is that it's completely scalable. Start small, learn the rhythms, and expand as you gain confidence. You're not just saving money on fertilizers. You're building genuine soil health that compounds over time. Most importantly, you're taking back control of your garden's fertility instead of depending on products that may actually undermine long-term soil vitality. This method gives you independence. It reconnects you with the living systems that make gardening work, and it proves that the best solutions aren't always the most expensive ones. Sometimes the most powerful tools are the ones nature's been offering all along. Welcome to Crop Corner, where we're not just growing plants, we're cultivating living soil. Subscribe so you never miss practical techniques like this one, and share this with fellow gardeners ready to break free from the fertilizer aisle. Together, we're building gardens that thrive on biology, not bottles.